I'm Chris P, and a couple years ago I decided to get together with some artist friends and record our conversations while we draw, maybe have a couple drinks or two. It's probably not funny, the audio quality's not so great, we broke the 180 rule and had to flip the master shot, but if you like listening to artists talk about drawing and shit that happened to them, then maybe this is for you. It's called The Tongue and Pencil. Here we go again, another episode of this Tongue and Pencil, this experiment where we draw some pictures. And today we got Max Winston with us right here.
Hey.
Cheers, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We were just hanging out at Annecy, the animation festival. We're on a boat. Max got real sunburnt.
Yeah, I got whacked.
Yeah. So, we're just gonna draw some pictures and bullshit, whatever. I'm gonna draw with this Stettler pigment liner, 0.7.
Cool.
I don't know what kind of pen.
I like these Pentel stylos. They have like a
Nice.
flat nib or whatever.
Flat nib.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that flat nib.
Cool.
That's a good nib. So, I like to start off kind of just ask about kind of where you grew up, anything you want to talk about your childhood. So,
Yeah.
where did you grow up?
Yeah, I'm from Sonoma, California, which is like in Northern California. It's,
They they got vineyards and shit there.
yeah, it's wine country basically.
Yeah.
So there's lots of vineyards and valley-ish hills and stuff.
Yeah. Is there a lot of art happening there? Were you encouraged to do art?
Well, yeah, both my parents are artists. I mean, on the side, aside from their careers or whatever. So they were always very encouraging. They never said you can't do art or you can't be an artist. They would always say, yes, do that. Yes, it's good. When I got older, I met a lot of people whose parents tried to strongly discourage them from
Yeah, I think most parents, right, are like, well, that's a cool hobby, but you can't make a living at that, until you prove that you can. Well,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I always felt like they were pretty cool parents and understood the whole art thing.
So you're the first guy I've had on here who's primarily known for stop motion versus just straight up picture drawing. When you were a kid, did you do a lot of doodling, or did you get into a lot of making little things, making stuff, physical things?
Yeah, I mean, I've always drawn my whole life pretty much. And I made stuff too, my dad would encourage me try this thing, build a birdhouse as as maybe non-artistic as that is. It is making stuff.
Yeah.
Birdhouses are cool.
Birdhouses are cool.
But yeah, I didn't do stop motion really kind of until high school when I suddenly realized wait, people do this. Maybe I can do it. It took me a long time to come to that realization. Yeah.
So what inspired you to do your first high school stop motion experiments?
I was becoming a teenager in the mid 90s or something. And around that time it was liquid television and stuff was really it seemed really popular to me. I mean, I was really into it, and that was super cool because they experimented so much, with what they put on the air, and there was such a variety.
Yeah.
And that stuff definitely was a big influence for me, even thinking I would want to do any of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Was there a particular liquid TV thing?
Definitely Eon Flux is one of my favorites. In terms of the art and the style of it is so cool, but also the storytelling is fucking crazy and really weird and unique and interesting. It keeps things really open and mysterious, and I really like that. And Henry Selick did a lot of stop motion stuff from liquid television.
Yeah.
That was an eye opener for me to see that kind of stuff, definitely. Because I mean, as a teenager, where else would you see that kind of stuff? I guess people would go to animation or film festivals, but
yeah, well, in the 90s, you know, especially early 90s, there wasn't like an internet like there is now. You couldn't like go and be like typing like weirdo animation shit,
yeah,
and then have some come up. It was like, well, Liquid TV or like Spike and Mike or something like there was some show like Night Flight. If you remember.
Yeah,
that.
I've heard
like,
of Night Flight
yeah.
now, but I wasn't aware of it back then.
That was kind of like syndicated poor man's liquid television.
Yeah.
But there's cool stuff on there. I used to like videotape it on a VHS tape.
Yeah, huh?
So sell it. Would you say he's one of your influences?
Yeah, he's definitely a big influence. Like I mean, you know, he's done a bunch of features that, you know, I like a lot of them, but definitely his short films, I still think some of the coolest and like most inventive animated films I've seen.
Even like I remember his like station ID of that like girl in the bathtub or whatever. It was like a weird like sea monsters fighting or something. I remember that one. They aired that one a lot.
Yeah, his stuff always stood out a lot. It was like a lot of the stuff on Liquid TV. I liked it because it seemed like you could do it, kind of.
Yeah.
Like almost a home done quality, like the head and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I know it's like a professional.
The head was one of my first jobs.
Wonky. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, cool.
I was a storyboard artist on that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I used to really like that, but yeah, Henry Selick stuff. It always seemed like another level. Like, what? How the hell did that just happen? This 15-second thing I just saw. I was like, I had no idea, you know.
So you watched this Liquid TV, and you were like, I can make some stop motions. And then what'd you do? What'd you make?
Well, there was this video class in my high school that me and a couple, one of my really good friends in particular, were both in it, and it was cool because the teacher would just like let us do anything. Like he didn't care about content or whatever. You know, he was just happy to see people inspired to pick up the camera and like make anything as opposed to sitting there doing nothing. And we made this video that was like these stop motion worms were like monsters kind of chasing us around our high school. We composited it in, you know, we shot them on green screen and like very shittily composited them into the footage of these things. Just we didn't have a plan or anything. I didn't know like about storyboarding or anything. We just like shot the monsters, shot live action stuff, and just put it together. And it's pretty cool. You know, it's like weird first time high schooler wonky ass filmmaking. But
so what'd you use to like composite and stuff?
Adobe Premiere which is still around, I guess, but
yeah, that's making a big comeback. We're using it again now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like the best option, I think, right now, crazily enough.
Oh, huh.
Like it fell out of fashion for a long time. But
yeah, I haven't used it since then, really.
I used to use Premiere to kind of do, I guess what you would call like your X sheeting. Like I'd scan in drawings and like color them in Photoshop and then do kind of like the assembly of all the animation drawings in Premiere and then spit that out and put it into After Effects and do like the camera moves and fancy shit that way, because there wasn't really a good off-the-shelf way to do animation back in like the 90s.
Yeah, there used to be a lot more workarounds you had to figure out and shit.
Yeah, but I mean even that seemed amazing back then. You're like, I don't have to shoot this on an Oxberry. Like you can make it in your computer.
Yeah.
I remember having like some kind of card, like a Matrox card or something. It's like you could play it on your computer and it actually plays back the animation on a TV set in real time. It was like amazing.
Yeah.
Like 1998 or whenever I was doing that. It was like a computer could play back. You don't need like a $100,000 like fancy edit room.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy.
It's like even in the short time like I've been in animation professionally, like I guess about 7 years, like things have even changed a lot in that amount of time. I don't feel like an old timer, but I think back when I was first starting professionally, I'm like, that's weird, don't do that anymore. Like,
I know, shit changes fast nowadays, man, it's nuts. So you made that like kind of experiment with the monsters and live action, and did that really get you on the hook to do more?
Yeah, well, like one of my friends that was kind of into that stuff was like, hey, have you heard of this school, CalArts? They have an experimental animation department. I was like, well, that sounds cool. Like, I didn't know about CalArts. I didn't know about anything like that.
Yeah.
And then I just looked into it. And I was like, this seems like a cool thing. And so I applied and I got in. And yeah, I ended up going to CalArts in the experimental animation department.
Nice. So you went for the experimental one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mostly because from reading their website, I was like, I read what each one kind of required and what you did in each one, and the experimental department sounded more like my kind of thing, like more variety and stuff. You know, they're both great in their own ways, absolutely. And well, the experimental animation department is where they have all the stop motion equipment too and everything, which sense, I didn't realize I was that into until I was there.
So that's when you really figured out stop motion is going to be your thing?
Yeah, I did other techniques of animation when I was there and stuff, but then I like stop motion, well, for so many reasons, but it's like when you take the frame with the camera, the image is done, you know? I mean, unless you're doing some crazy compositing, which I personally don't usually like to do. It's like you take the frames, you do the shot, and then that's it if you want it to be it. Whereas every other thing I tried was like I love drawing, I tried drawing animation, I love doing drawing animation, but then all the steps I had to do to get it to a point where I liked how it looked in a finished way was like, you know, you have to do the pencil, and you have to like do the ink or digital ink or whatever, then like color the character drawings, then color the background, then like do some weird passes for atmosphere or whatever people do.
Yeah.
And I didn't like all that process, and it's so much computer stuff, and personally I'm not like a computer minded person, so you know, the computer is still involved in stop motion obviously, but when I did stop motion finally, I was like, wait, this is cool.
So did you ever shoot any of that stop motion on a film camera, or you didn't even bother doing that style?
Some people I knew when I was there were, but at that point, definitely like digital SLR cameras were being used for stop motion already. Yeah. So that's what I've always shot on, is just digitally.
Yeah, I gotta say, shooting stop motion on film is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I did that in school.
Oh yeah.
And never did it again. I mean, it was fun. I did one year. My student film was a pretty long artsy fartsy stop motion film, and it was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But the first thing I remember seeing of yours is that I Live in the Woods, right? So you made that at CalArts.
Yeah, that was my final film at CalArts. My thesis film. I mean, it's funny to call that. There's no thesis behind it. Sure, senior film or whatever. Yeah, no, they call it a thesis film. That's okay. You didn't make that word up. That's what I know. Why do they call it that? It's weird. It's like
because it sounds collegey.
Like a science thing.
Yeah,
you know? It's not I'm gonna make an animated film. And sure, it's called a thesis film. Why not? But yeah, that was my last year filming at CalArts.
I really dig that film.
Thanks.
It's weird, and one of the things I like about it is how it's kind of it has that element of being really raw, but it's also simultaneously really slick. It's got this kinetic feel, you're moving the camera around a lot in a way that stop motion guys don't normally do it. Either it's a super planned out plotted move you see, or they don't move it. Is generally the way I see stop motion stuff going, or it's a way that's totally unschooled and doesn't work. But I really like the theory behind that. Was that just you fucking around, or did you have a thesis behind
Actually,
it?
I guess I did. Now that I think about it, the word thesis does apply. I started to realize towards the end of my time at school that animation, it's so planned out. Everything about it it takes so much planning and pre-planning and stuff that by the time that is actually done, it sometimes can feel a little stale or conservative. And I realized I kept seeing that, and I kept doing it too, you know? Yeah. And so I feel like I wanted to do something that was just an explosion of craziness and did not feel too pre-planned. It's it's blasting ahead of you kind of, or something. Yeah.
Well, you succeeded, I think.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I was really feeling after almost 4 years at an art school or a film school, you start to see, you see a lot of great work, but you start to see a lot of repeats of the same kind of stuff.
You do. Yeah, you see a lot of the same kind of things. It's interesting how.
Yeah, and so I just felt like, I'm not trying to say, oh, I'm so original or whatever, but all I wanted to do was make something that was not like something I had seen,
Yeah.
Because a lot of my ideas I would realize, oh, that's kind of like that film actually, or it's kind of like that thing I saw, like a different version of it. So I just realized over time, like, I just want to do something that makes people go like, what the fuck, and then their heads explode.
Yeah. I feel like it kept surprising me. Like when you think like, oh, I get what this movie is, then it does a little turn, and it does it like 3 or 4 times, I think.
If people could predict what was going to happen in it, that would be a little upsetting.
Yeah.
I'd be worried. I'd be concerned about that person or persons. Yeah.
So that film got a pretty good amount of attention. You won some awards, went to Sundance, did some stuff. Tell me about that thing.
It was pretty crazy. It got into Annecy, which was cool because I went back then for that, and got into Sundance, and it was nominated for a Student Academy Award, which was crazy. I didn't win, but like that was a cool, whatever you call it.
That's always cool.
Especially because the film is freaking weird. I guess, if you guys that are watching haven't seen the film, it's on the internet. It's called I Live in the Woods. It's a crazy stop motion film. But I just did like literally whatever I wanted to do with it. Like I did not. It's like no holds barred kind of thing, and I didn't know if anyone was gonna like it or anything. I just figured if I would like it, there would be people that were into it. So it was cool to see that it did get accepted into these different like high profile things like Sundance and stuff like that. Like when I told people I got into Sundance, some of my friends, they didn't even believe me. They're like, what? Like how did that happen? I'm like, I don't know. I just paid $30 and submitted it, and then they called me and told me it was in. I was like, weird, but so it was just cool to be like, oh, I guess there's people out there that do relate to my ideas.
Yeah. So did that open up any doors for you? Did that attention end up being meaningful?
Well,
to your career?
It's weird. Probably in some way. I mean, I met this kind of manager agent dude through that, which that didn't end up well, to be honest. But it was cool for a while. But that it gets people noticing you in that way. Like, oh, this hot new film at the festival. Let's contact this guy. And I did get to pitch. Yeah, they talk like, hey there, son. We're in the 40s now, 30s, 40s, 50s. What's the difference? But I got to pitch ideas and stuff to all kinds of companies and people and shit, and not that much came from it. I mean, I have got to develop some of my ideas that I pitched with cartoon channels and stuff, but that wasn't directly from the festival stuff.
Yeah.
There's kind of a funny story about just that came to mind about.
Hit me with the funny story.
Yeah, I'll tell this one because I don't feel bad talking a little bit of shit about this company because they don't exist anymore. But for whatever reason, this agent dude I had got me in the door of Robert Zemeckis' what do you call motion capture company? Whatever they were called, Dream something.
Yeah.
Not DreamWorks.
No.
They had
I know
some
what
name.
you're talking about.
And I pitched to their.
Well, they made the Train movie.
The Train movie and Beowulf and stuff, which is I don't know if you've seen Beowulf, but that's one of the funniest damn movies I've ever seen.
It's a weird movie. Man.
Yeah.
It almost seems more like a theme park. Thing, where you go on and sit like Captain EO or something. It's it's not quite a real movie. It's more of just a spectacle of weirdness.
It is definitely weird.
Yeah.
But I pitched them an idea that was, I mean, the gist of it was it's the post-apocalyptic future, and the main thing was all these rats run the world and they live underground and stuff like that, but people still live there, but people don't know that the rats are running it or whatever. And these kids start to figure out that these animals run the world, whatever. And then her response was oh motion capture doesn't really do well with animals. And I was wow, this is gonna fail. That's your mindset. Sorry, we can't do animals. Well, you're putting a lot of limitations on yourself. And lo and behold, within the next year, they were done, I guess. Not that motion capture's done, but it's kind of funny, I never forgot that one.
Yeah. Tell Tell that to the Andy Serkis, right?
Yeah.
He's been like an ape.
I know. Now they
probably
do animals.
about like a fucking 5 different apes in these movies. You know.
Yeah.
He could be an animal. He could probably be like a lizard or a cow or anything.
I know. Well, maybe only that guy can be, anything, and then everyone else like doesn't understand how.
Yeah. That's no good when they impose those kind of restrictions upon themselves, especially when they had tons of dough. They could have done whatever. It's like, hey, you know what? You could just hire a bunch of animators, and it probably won't be any more expensive or whatever. I don't know how much.
No, I know. It's totally weird.
Yeah. You must have been over at Shadow Machine or something, or worked with them because you were on like just looking around. Like Titan Maximum and Frankenhole, Robot Chicken, a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah, I animated on a bunch of those. The Shadow Machine shows. Yeah, Robot Chicken, stuff like that. I mean, the first job I got right out of school was at Screen Novelties.
Yeah, I love those guys. I know those guys because I worked at MTV when Deathmatch was happening. So
that's right.
Way back when.
So they kind of took me in right when I graduated at like an entry level kind of job, which then they quickly were like, okay, stay on, and we'll get a normal rate or whatever. And that's like some of the funnest stuff I've ever done is working with those guys on like Flapjack and Chowder.
That stuff's great.
All the stop motion for those shows we did at Screen Novelties, and that was super fun because oftentimes we got a lot of creative freedom, and they would just say, hey, here's a drawing, just make your interpretation of a puppet of it, and then we'll set it up, shoot it, and stuff like that. So
nice.
It was really open and fun and stuff like that.
Side note about Screen Novelties.
Yeah.
So this smashing party that we do every once in a while.
Yeah.
The last one, there was some dude who got like kind of out of control, rowdy. He started like smashing stuff, and we had to kick him out. And I'm like having this conversation with him, about to try and tell him to leave, and then he starts like wanting to get in a physical fight with me. Starts because Dan was there.
That's always fun.
Dan jumped on him, but one of the first guys to jump on that guy and kind of like dog pile on him to drag him out of there. Chris Finnegan.
Oh yeah.
Like a superhero, just jumped on his back.
Yeah, one of the Screen Novelties dudes.
That guy from Screen Novelties there. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I can imagine him taking someone down. He's quiet, but dangerous.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. So he did a lot of the working on professional jobs as an animator. So how did you find that after like working on your own films and stuff? Was it like, this is, well, I guess you said Screen Novelties was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Do you find something like interesting in all those like kind of so-called work for hire jobs and stuff?
I mean, yeah, it's interesting because it's like you're always learning, I mean, even if I'm animating something I don't like, I'm probably learning while doing it.
Yeah.
And I usually enjoy most jobs I have, but like some more than others. And I want ultimately I want to make more of my own stuff, so it can get frustrating when you're standing there animating some puppets where you're like, well, these kind of look like crap, and like I don't care about it, and blah blah. I'd rather be at my house doing my own stuff, but it's just I guess there's a balance. Like I do have a studio at my house where I make I do freelance work and stuff like that.
Nice.
And usually I get a lot of creative freedom with that stuff. So sometimes I do that kind of work. Sometimes I work at the studios, and it just depends on the job. It's usually pretty fun though, I guess.
Do you run into this? I remember this from back on Deathmatch, right? They they had kind of like kind of loose quota depending on how complicated the shot was, of like 2 shots a day, right? And they would do one in the morning and one in the afternoon. But the thing was, it's like if you're drawing, you can put down your pencil, go to lunch, and come back, and everything's cool. But they weren't allowed to go to lunch, or maybe this was self-imposed. Like nobody would go to lunch until their first shot was finished, because you don't want to come back from lunch and one of the lights has moved a little bit, or your fucking guy fell over, or something like that. Is that something that you run into, or something?
It's pretty common now for people to just like take their lunch break, and then if there's something wrong when you get back, there's crews to, if the light's out or whatever, there's guys that fix it and stuff.
So that's a '90s problem.
Yeah, that's like probably free, like digital. Like
well, they were using. I remember they were using digital cameras, but they were pretty rudimentary back then. Like,
yeah, they must have had lunchboxes, maybe.
They were lunchboxes. That's what they were shooting into. Yeah.
So you can still see if there was a mess up thing, but no, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I'm like really weird about food, so. When 1 o'clock or whatever comes around, like I need to stop and eat, or I'll fucking go nuts. If I can't eat, I get really weird and like I'll be really mean, and I don't think anyone would want to work around me at that point. So
you were saying too, like you're not a huge computer guy. You don't like to do a lot of stuff in post. Like we don't do a ton of stop motion. We've done a couple stop motion things, mostly 2D, a little bit of 3D, a little bit of stop motion, but mostly 2D. But the thing is, you want to adjust timing, you want to change somebody's expression. It's fairly easy to do because it's not like a set that's been struck. You don't have to worry about that stuff. Do you ever find yourself like, oh man, it's not playing. If only that guy was smiling, and then you go in and frame fuck it and like turn his mouth up and like painstakingly through frame by frame in Photoshop or anything like that.
It's like, I mean, that's the thing with stop motion, like kind of once it's shot, it's sort of done, It's like it takes a lot of pre-planning and thinking as you go, really. Like, okay, you can look ahead in the audio and be like, in 8 frames, he's got to be doing this.
Yeah.
So you'll kind of plan into that.
Sure.
And plan into the next chunk, and just like, hopefully it looks good and like it's what the director wants and all that stuff. And it usually is.
Do you fuck with timing? Do you take frames out or things like that when you can, when it's not a dialogue scene or stuff like that?
Sometimes. I mean, sometimes I'll overshoot a little bit and then take away a couple or something. But
I thought I was getting a signal.
Oh yeah. Always getting some kind of signal.
I can't tell when it's the time to do the switcheroo because my thing keeps beeping.
Drawing fast here. I was like, shit, I gotta leave space. Actually.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll cram it in there.
Weird drawing.
You don't have to.
It's weird, like doing stop. When I do stop motion a lot,
there's the
there it is. You predicted it.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Now there's the fun part where we switch and we get to see each other's.
Cool. Yeah.
It's gonna be pretty neat.
Sweet. Yeah, when I do stop motion a lot full time, it's like I don't end up drawing as much, and I really don't like that.
Yeah.
So I haven't been drawing much recently. So
look at this. You get to draw.
Yeah, I know. I've been
right?
so excited. I've been like. Every night I've been waiting at my bedside, like imagining coming here. Cool.
Badass. Fun. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm gonna ask you. So you don't fuck around with post too much. Maybe take a drawing.
Sometimes it depends on the production. I mean, me personally, I like stuff to be raw and weird, and like if it's a little fucked up, I don't really care, But if you're working for someone else, you don't have that kind of liberty. But on my own stuff, I do things sometimes to try to make it like wonky and a little, like I love to, start a weird motion like right before the shot cuts or something like that, just to kind of throw people off a little bit. Perfection like really kind of can aggravate me personally, but when you're working for someone else, it doesn't really matter. It's like, and sometimes some directors I work for, they do like if they don't like a weird little thing I do, they'll cut out those 10 frames and see if it works and stuff, and I'm like, okay, shit. I mean, it's their thing. They can do what they want, but
I had that issue once where because every once in a while we do live action stuff, and I used to do directed a lot of commercials, and every once in a while it's a multimedia thing where it's a live action thing that's put in there, and it was never like a full live action commercial. Anything that I got a gig on was always something to do with animation. There's this one job where it's like promo for like the do-it-yourself network or something where in a real quick shoot, shot him on a green screen, did this and that, and then like when I got the footage back, I'm like, man, this guy's like expression doesn't really sell what we need to sell in this. So I tried to do that George Lucas shit. I was like, maybe I can like fuck with his expression, like kind of go into After Effects and like noodle his eyebrows like kind of subtly. I'm like, I'm an animator. Totally got this. Man, is the human face so subtle. Anything I fucked with just made it look so weird.
It's
like
true,
anything you changed, like the minute thing, just made it look like a weird alien or something. It's like any still frame would look fine, but just in motion, if it's that, like we all look at each other's faces all day long and know like the micro like actions of a human face that I just
I know,
abandoned
it's
it. I'm like,
crazy,
there's no way. The specific thing was like the guy was supposed to be like leaning back, like in like, I've just entered my information into this contest, and I'm content with the action I've just done. But it just looked like he was getting a blowjob. Like he just went back and he had this like smug expression of like, underneath this desk, somebody's sucking me off, and I was like, man, can I fucking make him not look so like smugly satisfied?
How would you even do that? Like,
I don't know. I was fucking around and I just gave up.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this! You set something up for me.
I tried to. I was
That's
like,
great.
I wanted to leave more things open. I mean, you left a few things open here,
do
but
a couple.
you know, it's hard to, I guess, think about that stuff and like do it and shit.
So to get back to like how you plan a scene, right? How you approach a scene. You were saying like, oh, you see 8 frames from now, this guy's got to do something. Do you think in keys? Do you thumb keys out first? Like that illusion of life stuff? Do you sit down and think about your scene and thumb it out and then go into it? Because it is like, it's kind of like by definition straight ahead animation. It's not like
it really is straight ahead. It's not like the CG where you can go back and refine a part of it and go back and refine another part of it. I mean, I look at the X sheet, you know, and I do plan out this chunk, this kind of thing will happen, and then before that chunk's done, this thing will start and go for this long. I don't get too specific, but sometimes I block in some big chunks to give myself little reminders of, I'm at this frame, this thing's going to start happening. But I don't get too specific with planning usually, unless it's a very complicated shot, where like all these things certain actions have to hit certain sounds at certain times and stuff. Yeah, do you ever get confused in like a crowd shot or something when you're dealing with like 8 characters and you're like, it's weird.
Oh, what was the 7th guy doing? Damn it, was his arm going this way or that way? He's in the middle of a walk cycle. I'm not sure.
Well, that's
which way his arm was swinging.
Like, that's different now than in the 90s or before with stop
you can
motion.
just check
I mean,
the frames. You can roll it back.
Has affected stop motion a lot. Where now, we use frame grabbers. You can watch the whole scene as you go and stuff. So it's not too confusing as doing a scene with a lot of characters. You just have to pay attention to each one, and you kind of get like a rhythm, sort of. You're like, I'll do this guy, then this guy, that girl, and then that guy. And then every frame you kind of go down the line. That's what I do, at least. Everyone has their own techniques and such.
Did you ever like use the computer to like, I got this crowd shot. I'm gonna shoot a bunch of like 3 dudes doing like some kind of random idly shit, and then comp like to make it look like it's 30 guys or something.
I've done that kind of thing. I mean, I've shot like a pass for each character, and then like if they're each doing a cycle of like dancing, then you can just like composite them together. Like, but we'll locked off camera and just one guy there, one guy there, one guy there. If you don't want to shoot them all at the same time, you do each one separately and then like put them all together.
Back in the olden days when I would do it, we would like have an X sheet. You got your phonetically broken down your the audio track or whatever, but now you probably just listen to it, right? You scrub it and like
it's like you have the audio track live with the as you're animating and scrub and stuff.
That's pretty cool. That's much better than X sheets. Did you ever have to use X sheets, or did you just totally skip that?
I do, I mean, I used to use paper ones, but now with this software that most productions shoot with, drag on stop motion software, there's an X sheet in there, and you can draw on it and stuff. So I don't print them out anymore, which saves the trees,
That saves the trees,
as they say.
Through, saves the trees, and we probably burn a lot of coal with the electricity we need to generate our electronic
But I don't know what that does or what
that's so far away from us. Who knows how that works? Oh, and you did some of them Mickey Steamboat Willie, you did one of them. We did some of those over here. That was a fun project.
That was cool.
How'd that come about?
I think that the guy that was putting it together, I think he just saw my work online and contacted me, basically.
Nice.
That was super fun because like they just kind of let me do whatever. I mean, I had to pick a shot from Steamboat Willie,
I remember
and then
that.
do it in my own way or whatever. But they didn't like ask for designs or anything, so that was one of those fun things where I get a lot of creative freedom and just get to get weird with it, you know.
Yeah, that was fun. We did a few of those here, and everybody was stoked.
Yeah,
it was
like
that same story. Like everybody just got to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, just super fun. Like no interference or whatever. That's when I think I do my best stuff. But you don't always get that opportunity to get paid to make your own animation with no interference.
All right, well, rolling on that. Like,
Yeah.
Tip, how did your total reality Uncle Grandpa thing come about? 'Cause
Yeah.
I know Pete, and he's cool, and clearly you know him, and have. How did that start up? How were you approached for that?
Yeah, I mean, Pete and I, the Uncle Grandpa creator,
Yeah.
Pete Braungart.
Pete Braungart. For you, he did this thing here, the tongue and pencil.
Yeah,
before.
We were storyboard partners on Flapjack for like a couple episodes.
Oh, nice.
Because when I was working at Screen Novelties doing the stop motion, I met Thurup, the creator of Flapjack, there, and he was like, "Hey, would you want to do storyboards?"
Yeah, pretty good
I was
Thurup
like-
impression. Thurup's working here now, by the way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
doing
awesome.
his-
Yeah, I love
we're
that
doing
guy.
his
He's
movie.
great. And I was like, yeah, I've never done that before
Yeah.
professionally, but okay. And luckily he just, gave me the chance to give it a go.
Nice.
And
How'd you
so
like working
Pete was
on
my
Flapjack?
storyboard partner, and that's how we met. And the first day we worked together, we just kind of, well, honestly, we didn't work. We just talked about stuff we liked and stuff. We kind of became good friends right away.
Nice.
And so, yeah, a few years down the line or whatever, when Pete finally was making Uncle Grandpa, kind of right when it got greenlit, he's like, "Someday I want you to do stop motion thing for Uncle Grandpa." And I was like,
It's
"Okay."
a pretty good impression of Pete, too.
Yeah, I could
You
do
got
a
a
better
lot of
one if
good-
I'm really in
You
the
got
the
a lot of
creative.
good animator impressions.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters, But yeah, and so I was like, okay, and about, I don't know, even a year and a half or more later, it finally came up, and he's like, yeah, hey, yeah, we're going to do a... Now I just like want to do impressions. Yeah, we're going to do a variety episode with Uncle Grandpa, and he wanted me to do a stop motion one, so...
Nice.
Luckily,
Yeah,
it's a
that worked
perfect
out
situation because he's my friend, and he likes what I do, and he trusts me and stuff, so...
Yeah.
That was another thing where he said, do whatever you want. The only rules were no sex and no gore.
Yeah.
So
it was tough. Then.
I was like, I guess I can abstain for a few months or however long it took me.
But you got like how did that go about? Did you have any influence on the script? Do you get a track, or do you?
Yeah, we met up, me and Pete, and I think Adi, the creative director of Uncle Grandpa. We all met up and like just kind of brainstormed ideas we thought would be cool for a stop motion segment or short.
Yeah.
And we brainstormed a bunch of ideas, and we didn't really come up with a final premise on the spot, but through like emails and talking about it a little bit more later, we kind of decided on the premise of like, okay, yeah, the TV's breaks or something, and so Uncle Grandpa decides he has to use his imagination, so he blasts everyone in this imagination zone, and then they have to get out. And that was kind of what we came up with together. And then I just storyboarded it myself, and I sent them the first pass of the storyboard, kind of expecting notes or something, even notes to make it better. I don't know. And then Pete was just like, "Yeah, okay, it looks good.
Yeah.
Let's do that." I'm like,
Nice.
"Oh, okay, well."
Well, he knew you could execute. I think that's a huge thing, because even when I talk to people who get pitched things, whether you're a director or on a show or a creator or an executive, a little bit of it's the idea, like maybe 25% of it's idea, 75% is like, can this guy pull it off? So I know even when we cast scenes to animators internally, or assign shit to board guys, it's like you're kind of like, well, this guy, I know what he could do, and you give him a lot more latitude if you think they're just gonna nail it.
Totally, yeah.
So
I really think Pete
that speaks a lot to Pete's trust and
Yeah,
your ability
absolutely.
to pull it off.
I mean, that's kind of how he seems to run his shows, is find people you like, and then get them to do what they're good at, and then everything
it's the
will work out.
It's the best way.
Ideally,
I
and it
subscribe
usually
to
works
that.
out, huh?
It sure do.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the kind of thing, like, I really want to do more of that kind of stuff, like, just me in my garage doing crazy shit like that. But, you know, I'll get another thing like that soon.
Yeah.
Job, whatever, yeah.
So you working on that Tumble Leaf?
Yeah.
That show is beautiful as fuck. My kid watches that. I'll tell you what about
cool.
this Amazon, right?
Yeah,
Whatever their fucking strategy is to get kids sucked in, totally works. Because my kid's 3, right? And he's like, he likes Paw Patrol. I don't know if you know Paw Patrol, whatever. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. It's not an important part of the story, but I was going through, and nowadays you're like, well, who has Paw Patrol? Like, it airs on Nickelodeon, but you're never going to catch it when it's on TV. Who watches TV when it's on TV now?
Yeah.
So I'm like, where can I buy the season of Paw Patrol? So I looked on, it's not on Netflix, it's not on that. Oh, it's on the Amazon Prime. Oh, and I've got that because I want to get stuff shipped to me quickly.
Oh, yeah, I got it too.
I go on, buy Paw Patrol, and then it's like, when you watch Paw Patrol, it's like, hey, you might also want to watch this Tumble Leaf, and it has this big picture with that blue fox, and then we watch a couple episodes of Paw Patrol, and then he's like, I want the blue fox one.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, okay, let's watch that. And it totally worked. And he watched every single episode of Tumble. He like binge watched as a 3-year-old, and even the ones at the end that are like, make arts and crafts projects with your mom. I don't know if you saw those at the end, like after you watch all the episodes. There's like extra little things. It's like, you want to make something you kind of saw in the show with your mom? Here's a little arts and crafts projects you can make.
Yeah.
So, yeah, totally effective. But I was blown away by the production value of that show, man. Is that a tough one to make?
It is, yeah. I mean, they set every bar really high for that show, and they meet all those bars. It's crazy. It's very demanding. I mean, to me, it's like, it looks like a feature film.
Yeah,
kind of,
I
but
know,
like,
man. It's nuts.
But on a TV kind of schedule, or you know, I don't know.
So
it's a real challenge to animate on. I like a challenge, you know, so it's fun. But I mean, you see, like, if you compare that to My Uncle Grandpa thing, like, naturally I like doing like really wacky, like crazy cartoon shit, and that's like very focused acting and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's real like cushiony. It's real like you know, kind of beautiful, archy. Kind of animation, you know.
So it's different than, it's out of my comfort zone, but that's kind of why I like doing it, you know, like.
Is every animator on there like a superstar? Because it's like, if you got to hit
some people say that.
If you got to hit a TV schedule and make it look that good, you really can't. Everybody's got to pull their weight, huh? Yeah,
it's true. There's a lot of great animators working on that show. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, we're constantly saying like, God, they expect so much from us. How do they expect us to do this and blah blah? But then we somehow just keep doing it. You know, like.
That's what happens.
It's crazy, huh?
That's the problem with art and commerce. It's like, you know, if you're working in an accounting firm and they're like, all right, guys, we want to blow the doors off the bookkeeping this week, like, just like account the hell out of this stuff. It's like, people are going to be like, all right, I'm going to work as hard as I feel like I should work, and at the end of the day, go home and do my job and maybe do some overtime or whatever. But I think the intersection of art and commerce is so tough because artists want to make art and like kind of get personally invested in shit. And
we'll it's hard to not get personally
extra
invested
shit
in it,
that like it's a weird thing. I know it's something we struggle with over here too, of trying to, you know, sometimes we have to tell people to like just go home, man. I mean, I so appreciate it. You don't have to.
Yeah, but you don't want to take advantage of someone's passions or something. You know, like, I mean, in partly you do because you want it to all get done and everything. But like, you know, for me personally, I love animation. I love doing it all, and I like working in animation. But I like life too, like even more than animation.
Wait, you like life? What kind of animator are you?
Yeah, I know that like inspires me to do other stuff. You know, like do more animation, go outside for a bit and. Take a look at things and be like, oh yeah, the world's like this. That's cool. And then go back inside and animate more.
So like, talk about like gigs and like commercial art and cartoony gag stuff and things. But you also have like some kind of avant-garde, like artsy stuff, like your Invader stuff, and even your behind-the-scenes time-lapse stuff is presented in an artsier way than like your standard BTS stuff.
Yeah.
What do you like? Do you have a preference? If you could do anything, would you do more of like so-called fine art animation or like silly gag stuff?
I mean, really, I want to mix the two ultimately. Like, I think they can go together, you know? That's why, like, some of my stuff, I would say Uncle Grandpa's Short and I Live in the Woods, it's like, there's weird techniques in there, you know, that are maybe kind of unconventional and stuff, but it's still character-based.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to do, and I think you can do, and it's still accessible. It's not, like, so arty that it's unreachable or not understandable for most people. Like, they get it, and they see stuff they maybe haven't really seen much before, you know?
Sure.
So that's the ultimate thing for me, is, like, blending those two things, like, kind of characters, more familiar-based storytelling with like crazy, weird situations and techniques that also influence the story, you know.
So your Invader stuff, what's the story behind that?
Oh yeah, those are just like, that's a whole series I'm working on. It's kind of like, let's see. Well, so I was saying I have my garage, right? Like, where I do all this freelance work in, and it's like I spend a lot of time in there, so I've tried to make it cool in there, and I have a lot of weird stuff, and I'm kind of a hoarder, like, you could say that. I at least have hoarding tendencies.
Well, that probably works out as a stop motion guy, right?
It does, every once in a while
you're like,
I'd say it's
man,
kind
I
of
could
common
use
with
this weird little whatever, who knows what, grommet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like, luckily I have a house with a garage that I can put all this crap in. And I was in there one night, and I hadn't made something for myself in a while, and I was like, wait a minute, I have a camera, I have lights, I have all this cool, weird shit I'm surrounded by. Why don't I have a few hours right now, why don't I just like take all this stuff? I mean, it seems obvious, it seems like what artists do, you know, they take stuff and make things with it, take their surroundings, make stuff. But I just all of a sudden came to this realization, like, I don't need to plan things for months, and then spend a year on it. Like, I can make something right now and just like go at it and try something different and experiment a little bit. And so I made that first Invader short. That night I shot it all pretty late. I kind of stayed up late and doing it. But I shot it all and edited it all, and then the next day did the sound, and it's like a weird kind of experimental sort of thing. But like, that was super eye-opening for me. I was like, because I'm so like I was saying before, it's like so used to doing animation where everything takes a lot of time, a lot of planning, but that really kind of opened new doors for me. I'm like, you know, it doesn't all have to be pre-planned or perfect or anything. I've got a lot of ideas, and that kind of is an outlet to execute them, basically, and in kind of a simple but still interesting to me fashion, you know?
Yeah, no, I really dig them. You like that? You must be a fan of that, like, Amazing Mr. Bickford.
Oh yeah, Bruce Bickford, yeah.
I saw that when I was in school, and it blew me away. Like, just the sheer, just like insane cacophony of it. Remind me a lot, like, in retrospect, like, you know, when we were doing Super Jail with Christy and stuff, just like the sheer amount of just like shit happening in any frame.
Totally, yeah.
It was nuts.
Yeah, Bruce Bickford, he's a total master. I mean, he's an anomaly. I mean, a beautiful anomaly. You know, it's like no one else does what he does.
Yeah, it's true.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, but I figured looking at your stuff, he's probably somebody that you dig.
Yeah, totally. I've kind of met and hung out with him too.
Oh, nice.
Which is
got any crazy stories?
Well,
anything you could tell on this?
I mean, yeah, I would. It's just like, it's kind of hard to just tell stories because he's such a unique and interesting person that it's almost like you just kind of have to experience him. You know?
I should get him to do this thing.
Oh yeah, have you seen his drawings?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. And he does drawing animation also, which is like,
well,
outrageous.
Weird fucking morphing pig boar shit.
Yeah, and he still does it now. Like, I mean, that's all he's done kind of his whole life is animation. Yeah, if you haven't seen that documentary, Monster Road, That's a documentary someone made about him, maybe 6 or 8 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a great, just like, look into a little bit further into his life and everything. But
Nice.
yeah, I guess he tried to apply to Disney like hand drawn effects animation even in recent years, like, and the stuff he sends them is fucking insane. It's like a tidal wave of just like it's like going all slow and like fast, and like it's so much detail. And I think that no one could deny that it's amazing, but I think it might be the kind of thing where people might say, what the hell can we do with it?
Yeah, some people are singular, they're artists, and it's tough to fit them into a system,
Yeah, he's the definition of that, I would say. But I would like to see that guy just like, someone give him money for the rest of his life. He's old, but see whatever he can do.
So you're in that band with Callie, right?
Yeah.
I contributed to the Kickstarter for that one.
Oh,
album.
Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
I got a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah.
She did a bunch of weird drawings of like dismembered girls. And stuff.
Yeah, those are cool drawings.
Yeah.
Exactly. The dismembered, bleeding girls and
so,
stuff.
How did that come about? What do you do in that band?
Oh yeah, I played drums
Nice.
in that band and in the Manx too.
Nice.
Which I guess they played before I joined
at
the Smash Party.
Yeah.
But now they have a drummer, which is me, and it's gotten weirder and crazier. But
so you like being a musician as well as a
I love being a musician. Music is a really big part of my life too.
Yeah.
So it's super fun to be in these bands and contribute.
And this
weird ideas. And
this
shit.
new Kalikazoo album, you did a little cover for that?
I did the artwork for the new
awesome.
Kalikazoo album. Which was kind of we kind of came up with the idea together, like this space kind of landscape.
Yeah.
And then I just made it and set it up and shot it and everything. But yeah, that's really fun. That album's coming out soon.
Do you find it like hard to decide when you shoot a bunch of pictures and then you're like, which one is the best one? Does it get down to like 5 and you're like, I just can't figure out which one of these is the best one? Or is it like obvious, like, well, clearly this one's the best one?
It can be tricky. I mean, I do work off instinct pretty easily, I think. So usually I'll have a few to choose between, like, okay, these 3. And then I checked with her and stuff like, hey, which one of these 3? And then like, she would chime in and stuff. But that was super fun to do, like an album cover.
You ever deal with any celebrities in this world of animation?
Not any crazy stories really. I mean, Seth Green runs Robot Chicken.
Sure, yeah.
He's always around, but he's a super cool dude.
He's so cool. We did a ping pong competition against Shadow Machine back when he was before Stupid. His new company existed, and he played ping pong with everybody. Like, he wasn't too cool to like be in the ping pong competition.
He's really just he's like a very personable guy.
Yeah, and he's the guy who always remembers your name.
Like he's above anyone or anything.
Yeah, always friendly, always remembers your name.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah, I met him just briefly when I started animating there. Oh, you're a new animator. Yeah. Oh, what's your name? Max. I'm like, Max. Okay, cool. Good to meet you, Max. And then I was only there for a couple weeks. Then like a month and a half later, I was back. And he's like, oh, hey, Max, how's it going? I'm like, are you really remembering my name? Because that's my thing is like, someone tells me their name and I instantly forget. It's like directly after they say it, I'm like, okay, what did that person just say to me? Like, and so I admire anyone that can just like store names with faces.
It's true. I gotta come up with those like devices for remembering people's names. I think that's a pretty common thing. People forgetting names. Remember, I met this guy. You know Pat Smith? He's like an indie animator.
Not sure.
New York guy. He's done a lot of cool films over the years. And when I first we were both on Beavis and Butthead together. I think I was like a storyboard guy and he was a layout guy. And I met him like at lunch. We'd have like lunch in the conference room, whatever. And I kept forgetting his name. And then I remember another guy, this guy Anthony Leoy, who's working here now. But he was a guy, he worked on all like the Fox shows and stuff. And we were both back. I think Anthony was on Daria. We were on Beavis at the time or whatever. And we're like, what's that guy's name again? And then he was like, his name's Pat. And then we just did this dance around the conference room. We were like, Pat, Pat, Pat.
Yeah, Pat, you need
Pat,
something.
Pat, and just patted our heads over again. Pat, Pat. Pat Smith. That's how I remembered your name. If you ever see this back in 1990, whatever. Anthony and I did a dance around the conference room, patting our heads so we would never forget your name. And I never forgot it after that.
Yeah, I always need to associate a name with some unrelated thing that I can remember easily. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucked up, man. Yeah, that's how my brain works, you know.
I think that's how a lot of people's brains works. I think that's a pretty common thing that people say you can't remember a person's name and then.
Yeah, but I think like a lot of very like more successful people I've met, they're all good at remembering people.
That's star quality.
Yeah. I was
It's
like,
like,
I guess that's a
yeah.
exactly.
Seth
It's star
has it.
quality.
There's two guys like that. Snoop Dogg, we did a bunch of jobs with him, and there'd be like years in between, and he'd be like Chris P, and it'd be like he's a guy who's like makes you feel cool, even though you know you're not cool.
Yeah.
But he makes you feel like you're his friend when
I
he's got
believe
a
it,
million friends that aren't really his friend.
Yeah.
Well, we just got the alarm that means we are
All right.
done with the tongue and pencil. Hopefully you're happy with your augmented drawing.
Happy
I
with
think
it?
I'm pretty
yeah,
happy
it's
with
kind
this
of
one.
weird, but
Uh,
that's the way
so-
it should be.
At the end of this thing, what I like to do is ask, anything you want to plug? I don't know when this is going to be on here.
Oh,
your
yeah.
blog or your Instagram or
Oh,
anything.
yeah, I mean, you could check out, like, I have a Tumblr where I try to put stuff on regularly, but it's just maxwinston.tumblr.com. I also, the Manx is my band, Cali Kazoo is another band I'm in, and then I make my own music. It's called the Public Executioners. It's there's a whole secret mystery behind it, but if you look up publicexecutioners.bandcamp.com, you'll find some crazy evil music. Yeah.
Nice.
And,
All right, man. Well, thanks for doing this.
yeah, thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, on.
Chirp.